Hi, and welcome to this YouTube video on the topic of video games. In this video, we'll be exploring the history of video games, discussing their impact on society, and examining the various genres and platforms that exist within the video game industry. Part 1, the history of video games. Video games have come a long way since their inception in the 1950s. The first known video game, called Tennis for Two, was created by William Higinbotham in 1958. It was a simple game that used an oscilloscope to display a two-dimensional tennis game on a small screen. In the 1960s, video games started to become more popular with the advent of arcade games like Galaxy Game and Computer Space. These games were played on dedicated machines that were placed in arcades and other public places. The 1970s saw the birth of home console gaming with the release of the Magnavox Odyssey in 1972. This was the first home video game console that used cartridges, allowing players to switch between different games. The 1970s also saw the release of the first home computer, the Commodore PET, which had the ability to play games. The 1980s was a pivotal decade for the video game industry. It saw the release of the Atari 2600, a home console that was capable of playing a wide variety of games. The 1980s also saw the rise of the personal computer as a gaming platform, with the release of the Commodore 64 and the Apple Macintosh. The 1990s brought about the fifth generation of video game consoles, including the Sony PlayStation, the Sega Saturn, and the Nintendo 64. These consoles were capable of playing 3D games, and they introduced the concept of online gaming with the release of the Sega Dreamcast in 1999. Part 2, the impact of video games on society. Video games have had a significant impact on society since their inception. They have become a major form of entertainment and have even been credited with improving hand-eye coordination and problem-solving skills. However, video games have also faced criticism and controversy. There have been concerns about the potential negative effects of video game violence, as well as concerns about addiction to video games. Despite these controversies, video games have continued to grow in popularity and are now a multi-billion-dollar industry. They are played by people of all ages and have become a mainstream form of entertainment. Part 3, types of video games and platforms. There are many different types of video games available, ranging from casual games that can be played on a phone to complex console games that require specialized controllers. Some of the most popular types of video games include action games. These are fast-paced games that involve shooting, fighting, and other forms of violence. Adventure games. These are games that involve solving puzzles and exploring virtual worlds. Sports games. These are games that simulate real-world sports, such as basketball or soccer. Strategy games. These are games that require players to plan and execute complex strategies in order to win. Simulation games. These are games that simulate real-world situations, such as managing a city or running a farm. There are also many different platforms on which video games can be played, including consoles. These are dedicated gaming devices that are connected to a television. Examples include the PlayStation and the Xbox. PCs. These are personal computers that can be used to play a wide variety of games. Mobile devices. These are devices like phones and tablets that can be used to play casual games. Conclusion. In conclusion, video games